For students who attend Park City School District, they need to make a decision by the end of this week whether they will be attending school in person or utilizing remote learning options. Dr. Jill Gildea, Superintendent of Park City School District, is joining us to answer some of our viewer questions. Dr. Gildea, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Christine.
So before we get into the questions, I'm curious, how are things going? I know this is such a busy, chaotic, unpredictable time.
It's absolutely very busy. Yesterday, we were really pleased to have our local Summit County Health Director nurse, Carolyn Rose, and Nate, who is the Director of Environmental Health, came and walked through, toured our schools, looked at model classrooms, looked at all of our filtering systems and the different mitigation strategies we're trying to implement for the fall, and they were very pleased with our progress. So we're really happy about that.
That is great news. So our first viewer question has to do with this big decision of whether to send your student back in school for learning or to do a remote online education. Is this decision made per student or per family? Meaning if a family has multiple students within the district, does it have to be the same decision in the family, or is it per student?
It is absolutely per student, because we do know that every family situation and every student situation differs. So yes, you are able to make that decision per student to meet your family's needs. For instance, one student may have a mitigating condition, might have a pre-existing, propensity for asthma or other allergies, or has another immunocompromised situation that another student in the family does not.
And you have mentioned that, of course, due to the pandemic, you're not focusing as much on attendance, because it's important that if a student has any kind of symptom that they stay home. But that leads to the next question about attendance requirements. Usually it's pretty strict. You can only miss a few days before it starts affecting makeup work, sports eligibility, and more. So how is that being balanced?
Right. So the board actually does have a policy that they're working on to be able to describe this, that is in alignment with the Utah State Board of Education guidelines. So the state board actually shifted our 990-hour requirement and made it more of an educational attainment, progress, and access documentation, and then 180 days of school are still possible, whether that is remote or whether that is delivered in person. So that 990 hours, though, we do have some flexibility, which means that students can make up something that they might miss during an intermittent absence via the hybrid learning, which is having our teachers upload different information just like they did in the spring, so that students can still access what happened in class while they were gone. So if there is a short-term or intermittent absence, students can make up that work. So things are a little bit different than they are normally, and that waiver is for 2021 across the state of Utah.
And that directly corresponds with our next question. The Utah High School Athletic Association has strict requirements that students need to meet to be able to compete. So is that changing this year? And also, if a student opts for remote online learning, will they still be eligible to play athletics?
Yes, our students are absolutely eligible to play athletics, even if they are a full-time remote student. So that, again, is a shift from our typical protocols statewide, but it is a policy shift for the High School Athletic and Activity Association for this year. So we do anticipate that we will have participation from our in-person and our remote learning students.
So many things are shifting to make learning possible in school and at home, and there's been a lot of encouragement from the district that parents transport their students individually, meaning that they don't put them on the bus. Buses are still running and they'll be disinfected and cleaned, but with more and more parents taking their kids to school, that brings some safety and traffic concerns to mind.
Exactly. So we are definitely working with that sensor on Kearns Boulevard, which currently has the sensor kind of broke over the summer. So they're working on that that system. Of course, we still have a little bit of construction going on also on Kearns, so we know that's an impact if that's not done prior to school opening. We always, at the beginning of the year, do have extra patrol. County Sheriff's Department is helping us with some of our county schools for the beginning of the year until we get used to the new routines and the new sort of traffic patterns. And you are correct, schools will be running. Typically in any year, we transport about half of our population. It's never the full 4,700 kids anyway. So we always do have room on buses. Secondary routes are very minimally run. There aren't a ton of kids on them, so there will definitely be plenty of space on those. We're not too concerned about that.
And rumors have been circulating that if a student opts for remote learning, they may potentially lose their spot within Park City School District and lose that future option to stay within the district and in-person learning. Is there any truth to that?
There is absolutely no truth to that. We're hearing all kinds of really interesting, I don't know how some of this stuff starts. I've tried to respond to some of the Facebook comments because they're kind of outlandish, but no, that is absolutely not true. Your student as an enrollee remains in Power School, which is our student information system, whether they are a remote learner or an in-person learner. What we are finding, though, is that with some of the shifts, we are changing around some of the schedules. We are changing around, maybe a time an elective is offered. So right now, we are unable to view the schedules until we're done building all the schedules. But that does not mean that a child won't have a seat. Certainly, we're really attentive to the classroom sizes, the section numbers, and keeping very low adult to student ratios so that we can cohort the students in smaller learning teams.
And that's a big concern for parents, is in order to put in social distancing requirements and to keep students safe, you need to have smaller class sizes. But right now the district doesn't know how many kids will be attending in person. So will you be releasing those numbers, or how will you judge that in order to make all of these safety protocols work?
Right. So we've definitely been sending out sending out letters and emails, trying to have our families enroll and register as quickly as they can, as quickly as they know whether they are interested in remote or in-person learning, so that we can have the right staffing models going into the year. Right now, plenty of room in the district, not a problem. I'm hearing rumors about that too, but we definitely do have families that sometimes wait to enroll, or even wait to come the first day, or maybe even wait to come after Labor Day. So we do take counts once students are here. We sometimes adjust. Hopefully with enough pre-enrollment, though, we can build our staffing model to have enough space and enough room so that if some students arrive after Labor Day, we're still maintaining our enviable ratios. We really do have great class sizes here, unlike anything I've seen, closer to private school than public, actually. So we do have some great mitigations in place. We also have ways that our teachers are working to address, sectioning and how to best deliver a smaller learning experience, a smaller group learning experience. So that is what teachers are working on as we get ready to launch.
The school district has released quite a bit of information about cleaning protocols, increase in janitorial services, helping the filtration within the buildings. What about the older buildings, specifically Treasure Mountain Junior High? That building can be a little difficult to make sure that it is clean, has healthy air, and also has very narrow hallways. So how is that being taken into account with some of the older buildings within the district?
So Principal Fine actually has an email letter coming out to parents, I believe it's today, that talks about all of their local mitigation strategies in their school to keep everybody healthy, safe, and moving without a crowded hallway. And really, the classrooms are great size at Treasure, so the actual classrooms themselves are large. It's just the hallways are rather narrow. So we are going to look at, staggering times. And again, it's by minutes, it's not by hours. So by minutes, certain cohort groups will be transferring from one class to another to keep the hallways a little more clear, and people will get used to these new routines and these new schedules. But the airflow, the carrier airflow system, we will have air recirculated fully overnight, but then throughout the day, it's 50% fresh air at all times, encouraging open windows, things like that to keep the fresh air moving and taking advantage of our beautiful outdoors whenever weather is permitting to get kids out and about and try to not be so contained. But we do have MERV 13 filters. I've learned more about the different HVAC systems than I can tell you. We've got some great ionic filters. We've got some UA machines that in the event we have an outbreak, we can get them in. Basically, we've been told we have hospital sanitation quality airflow in our schools right now. So we feel like that is a very good indicator. It's definitely higher than the basic standards that are required.
Well, that is the end of our viewer questions. I appreciate you for answering those, Dr. Gildea. And before we let you go, anything else you would like to mention?
With every year, we are excited about the year. We definitely know that there are challenges trying to deliver, highly effective education in the midst of a global health pandemic. We are going to do anything and everything we can to keep everybody in the system healthy and safe. We have a wonderful partnership with a local parent who's developed something called Health Attend, which is going to be kind of an early indicator, symptom checking, symptom monitoring, and a way for us to effectively let people know in the event anybody does become ill. But we believe these mitigation processes may help us with all contagious illnesses, not just COVID. So we're actually get year-to-year trends on our students' health and wellness. But we're really looking forward to having kids return to school. We're looking forward to all of the joy and excitement a new school year brings.
Well, Dr. Gildea, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. We very much appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule, I can imagine, to spend time answering these questions. It's encouraging to know how much the school district is putting into making whatever option parents choose, whether it's remote learning or in-person learning, work within their individual situation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right, we'll be back with more. Don't go anywhere.